Professor Ray, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So, even people who aren't being evacuated for a fire or facing water shortages this year, um, we all have emotional responses to what's happening in the world right now. What is climate anxiety that you write about in your book?
Yeah. So there's people who are experiencing immediate climate or environmental traumas like sea level rise or a natural disaster, various kinds of immediate things. And arguably, many scientists would say something like COVID is an immediate climate disaster, too, that we're all experiencing some more intimately than others. But that's one set of climate anxieties, forms of sort of immediate distress, immediate threat to livelihood and life. But another kind of climate anxiety that also sort of took me by surprise a little bit when I first discovered it is this sort of anticipatory anxiety about what could be happening in the future. And this comes from all of the forecasts coming from scientists like the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC reports that come out every couple of years, and various different models coming out from scientists, and actually reportage of the sixth great extinction, as Elizabeth Colbert calls it. So there's a sense of what's life going to be like in the next 15, 20, 50 years. That's going to be in my lifetime. Many young people in particular are thinking about this. Will the planet be inhabitable? Will we have food? Will the ecosystem services that the entire economic system we live on, be functioning? And the thought of those things all falling apart creates climate anxiety, the sense of, the way the life as we know it, the conditions for health and thriving and for eating and breathing and drinking fresh water and having our houses, not fall apart or not burn down. That kind of uncertainty, what Glenn Albrecht calls global dread, is really what climate anxiety is. The APA defines eco anxiety as a chronic fear of environmental doom, but I would say climate anxiety is more specific around the ways that people are responding to news around what's happening with climate change, particularly.
You write about how seeing ourselves as part of a collective and acting collectively versus trying to do things individually is so important. And it made me think of like Joanna Macy, and she talks about group action and group work. What are the benefits of this collective action, this group work, this relationship building?
Yeah, that's a really great question. There's many facets to that. So some people say that at the root cause of our social crises are the same as the root cause of the climate change crisis, which is disconnection, lack of community. And many people, if you look at Robert Putnam's Bowling Alone, and you look at the sort of crisis of civil society, the crisis of community that's been sort of almost engineered by the ways that we've designed, not just architecture and cities and our automobiles and highways, but also we've sort of create a culture of individualism in American society, that you're on your own and go off and set yourself free from all of the fetters of your family and others. And there's a real fetish of that in American culture. And there's a lot of benefits to that. And I'm not denying entirely that there's some value to that. But it has had the unfortunate effect of making us think that we are alone in our action for the planet. So that's one way that it disempowers us. It helps us not able to see, makes us not able to see the ways that our actions are in concert already with a huge community of people, what Paul Hawken calls the blessed unrest or some groundswell. Rebecca Solnit beautifully writes about this. And also it makes us not able to take a break when we need to build our resources. Many people, young people in particular, feel like they need to sort of burn the midnight oil and not sleep in order to do the amount of work that's necessary, because the problem is so urgent, right? This urgency of the problem, this next 10 years matters so much, we often hear, makes people feel like, okay, I'll just work my tail off until the problem is solved, and then I'll be able to maybe relax. There's no time for rest. And individualism shows up also in activism too, in a way that undermines our ability to keep engaged in these issues for the long term of our lives. The problem is not going to be resolved in 10 years. It's going to be going on for the rest of our lives. And so seeing ourselves in the collective is partly a sort of critical thinking tool to keep us energized, right? Like, let's focus on the fact that we are amplified in all these ways. I do a network mapping exercise with my students sometimes where I help them see all the things that support them and that they support, and ask them how can they enhance those supports. And also, there's some really interesting neuroscience about this, that there's the mirror neurons that happens, the things that happens hormonally and chemically when we're actually in space with other people and when we're doing things with other people. And I find it really fascinating that there's things that happen, like if you did an MRI, if you could take a picture of people's brains when they're with people versus when they're on Zoom, or when they're on Zoom versus when they're alone, just the sheer act of being with people doing something collectively enhances all of the good feels that we might need to have chemically in our body. So there's some really cool stuff that happens there. Just the neuroscience of it is really important.
Well, thanks for saying yes to this interview. I really have appreciated this conversation. I really, really recommend your book to anybody who's thinking about these issues right now. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate talking to you.